as always, I'll be doing the mantra prayers. So please try to meditate on Acharya's feet or sing the or recite the mantras along with me, and then we will start the session straight away after that. Okay. Om Asmadgurubhyo Namaha Sri Saile Sadayapatram Divaktyadigunaarnavam Yatendra Pravanam Vande Ramya Mataram Munim Lakshminatha Samarambham Nadayamuna Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Yo Nityamachyatpadam Bhujayugmarukma Vyamohadastaritarani Trunayamene Asmadguror Bhagavato Siddhaika Sindho रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये मातापिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य न कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना भूतं सरस्य महदाह्वयपट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेण परकालतेन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम् ॐ अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः यं प्रव्रजन्तं मनुपेतवेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रे तन्मयतया तर्वोऽभिनेतुः तं सर्वभूतहृदयमुनिमानतोऽस्मि श्रीसुखब्रह्मणे नमः नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् हरिः ओम् ॐ अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः. So welcome you all. Thank you so much for joining to today's session. So today's session is really special. I'll tell you, you'll know why it's very special. So I'll just give a little recap of what we discussed in the last session, and then we can start with today's session. And sorry for yesterday. It was really hectic for me yesterday, so I couldn't get the session going. So sorry for that. So today, so in the last session, what we have seen is we saw the past tense of Prachina Barhi. Prachina Barhi told his sons Prachetas to go and expand the progeny, and Prachetas as a part of that, they wanted to fulfill the desire of their father. The 10 of them are called Prachetas. So they went into the ocean for 10,000 years and worshipped Lord Srihari. Now in the path of going to ocean, they have met they have seen a pond in the north direction. There they also have seen a wonderful sound coming from the pond, and then they have seen Lord Shiva coming out of the pond. There he gave darshan to the Prachetas, and then he started glorifying Supreme Lord Srihari, which is called as Rudra Gita. That is where we have seen until last session. That we are going to see Rudra Gita in this session. So what is Rudra Gita? So today, try to I'll at some point in today's session, I will ask you to unmute your mics, and I will ask you a question. This is very important for all of us. I'll ask you to unmute your mics, and I will ask you a question, and think about it and tell the answer. Okay? So I'll tell you when. So this is the time Lord Shiva, Rudra, where he told to the Prachetas that if a person with 100 lives follow devotion, then they will attain the loka where Shiva and his father Brahma, they both go to the same loka, which is Vaikuntha. That's what he mentioned. So he said, if a person lives for 100 lives in a dharmic way, he will reach Brahma loka. If a person lives a life for 100 lives dharmic way, and as well as knowing why he is doing without any dharmic way of karma, then he will reach Lord Shiva. If a person lives 100 lives, a life love towards having Supreme Lord, then he will reach Supreme Lord himself. There he said that place is reached by Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma after the Pralaya. Now he is glorifying the Supreme Lord. Now see, the point is, people, we always see this problem in India, that some say, some first of all, they all classifies everybody as one. All devatas are okay. Everybody is God. Everybody is God. Vinayaka is God. Shiva is God. Kumar Swami is God. Everybody is God. But did Vedas say that? At least Lord Shiva said that. Lord Brahma said that at least. No. First, before Vinayaka was born, Shiva was there. Isn't it? Shiva was there, is there, will be there. That's a different thing. So Shiva, Vinayaka was born. Before Vinayaka was born, Shiva is there. Then how can become Vinayaka become God? Then they will say Vinayaka is one of the God. We don't have so many gods. We only have one God. God is only one. Bhagavatam says, Ekameva Advitiyam Brahma. God is only one, not even two. Only one. Who is that one? That one is given the name as Srimanarayana. That is given as God. Now, everything that we are seeing in Bhagavatam until now is testifying the same thing. Who is God? Narayana is God. Who is God? Vasudeva is God. So, why they are telling it, how they are saying it, and they are giving wonderful pastimes and as well as pramanas. Pramana means like a authenticity in when they are saying it. So, Kabir Maharshi came. He told about God. Who is God? Narayana, he said. Before that, we have seen so many avatars, Manu, Brahma, and now Shiva is also saying the same thing. We fight that Shiva is God. No, Vishnu is God. No, Rudra is God. No, God, Mother Durga is God. There won't be so many gods. They are different devatas given the portfolio of doing the jobs. That's all. This is very important for us to understand. There are different devatas as in the administration where they will be given a job and they will be doing the job. It's easy to understand, isn't it? We know Indra is God, Surya is God, one of the devata, Varuna is one of the devata, Agni is one of the devata. So there are different categories of departments that they are given, and they will be performing their duties. Now, when they are performing the duties, who is inside them? As Antaryami, as Paramatma, is Lord Sivanarayana only. That is what we have to understand. That is the faith that we have to build upon when we are reading or listening Bhagavatam. Now, let's come to today's session. What Lord Shiva has to sing. So, Rudra Gita, as it says, Gita means a poem or a sloka, a recitation. So, Rudra Gita. So, Shiva said, this was given to me by my father Brahma when I was born to give me the knowledge of Supreme Lord. My father's Brahma gave to me. This is the same Rudra Gita, this is the same recitation that I am going to tell you is given to other Prajapatis also. Those Prajapatis like Marichi and other Prajapatis, they were not doing creation. They were not going and expanding the progeny. For that, my father Brahma, who is their father also, gave the understanding of who is Bhagavan, who are we, who is he. To establish the supremacy of Lord Srimanarayana, Lord Brahma also gave to these other Prajapatis. With this knowledge, these Prajapatis, they went and they started expanding the progeny. This is what Shiva has said. Now, first of all, Shiva mentioned before he's saying this one only that 100 lights of devotion, if you perform, then you will reach Vaikuntha, which is a planet that everybody, even from Brahma to me, all are aspiring for. Isn't it? That's what he said. Now see what he's saying. This is like a stotra. Stotra is like a praising to the Supreme Lord. This is not like a knowledge sharing, like everybody else shared. Like Kabir Maharshi also shared knowledge, how God is. Maitreya also shared knowledge. Before that, there are many instances where knowledge is shared. This is not knowledge sharing. Lord Shiva is not giving a knowledge sharing. He is putting the knowledge in the form of a praise. He is praising God. He is praising the Supreme Lord. So he started saying about the glories of Supreme Lord in a way that he said, because of your qualities. See, I'll tell you an example for us to understand. Vyasa is there, isn't it? We all know Veda Vyasa, we say. First of all, his name is not Veda Vyasa. His name is Krishna Dvaipayana. That is his name. His name was given as Krishna Dvaipayana because he was born in a place where there are two, it's like an island in two places. So Dvaipayana, so in that place he was born, where there are two rivers, Krishna Dvaipayana, he was called as. So his name is Krishna Dvaipayana. That is the name given by Parasar Maharshi to Veda Vyasa. That is the name. No, but why is it called Veda Vyasa? Because Vyasa in Sanskrit means division. So what has he done? He has taken the entire big Veda Rasi, we say, the entire Veda into smaller chunks. So he compiled things together. He put things together, the entire Veda. So we call as Chatur Veda. We say Rig Veda, Sam Veda, Atharvana Veda, and other Veda. So there are 4 divisions of Veda, we say. Now, because he is did that, Vyasa means to division. So, because he has done that, he is called as Veda Vyasa. Likewise, when a person performs an activity, he will be given a name, isn't it? Now, what we are getting is a name that is given by birth. We are not changing our names. That's what we have been going on. But great people, when they perform certain things, they will be given a name by the activities they perform. Okay. So, for example, Arjuna. Arjuna is also called as Gudakesi. Gudakesi means somebody who conquered the sleep. So he conquered the sleep. So if he want to not to sleep, he will not sleep. Isa means master. Gudakesi means master of sleep. For example, in case of Lord Krishna, he is called as Hrishikesa, which means that the one who won over the Indriyas. Hrishika means Indriyas. So he won over that. So basing upon certain quality that a person exhibits, he is given the name. Okay. Usually what they're called is either they're called by father's name or mother's name. For example, Janaki or Bhishmacharya, he is called as Gangeya because the son of Ganga. So like that also they will get names. Likewise, see in the case of Supreme Lord, the first thing Shiva started saying that, my dear Supreme Lord, you stay in everything. You live in everything that is visible to our eyes, naked eyes, that is not visible to our naked eyes. Everywhere you permeate and you live within that. So that is called as Vasu. Nivasinchuta, we say in Telugu, Nivasinchuta. Vasinchuta, that's Vasu. That's the root word. So Vasu. Now you just don't stay there. Because of staying there, you will not be contaminated or polluted or touched by any of the karmic activities that the soul, that the jiva performs or the thing performs. Because of non-contamination, you are called as Deva. So, because you are staying in it and not getting contaminated, you are called as Vasudeva. So that is the name you are be given. So immediately the first thing I was, generally if this is the beauty of learning from a devotee. We have to understand when somebody want to speak something. See, if you want to glorify a person or something about a place, let's say you like a place, maybe let's say Tirumala, you like the place very much. If I ask you, tell me about four qualities of four things that you like in Tirumala, the first thing that comes on your mind or from your mouth is something that you definitely like it most. The chances are very high. Where you are like, that is the best thing that I like. So if I tell you in Tirumala, first thing, every time I remember about Tirumala, I always get the hills, the climbing steps that we go to Tirumala. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. So if I ask you about Tirumala, I'll tell you about the steps only first. Then I'll talk about Narayanadri, Anjanadri, Rishabhadri, Neeladri, and all the other 7 hills. And I'll tell you about that Gunapa, which is I don't know what we call in English. That crowbar at the entrance. So I will tell after that. I will tell about Varaha, Venkateshwara, Padmavati. All that will come. But first thing that comes to my mind is like that. So see, when Shiva is talking, he told about Vasudeva. He is telling that you live in there and you are not getting contaminated. So he is telling everything is permeated by Narayana. That is the supremacy he is establishing. And then he says, you will not have any kind of 6 qualities that a soul possesses, a jiva, a Baddha jiva possesses. What is the 6 qualities? There are so many qualities that we possess. Besides all the other dirty qualities that we possess, there are 6 qualities which are in common. What are the 6 qualities? First is hunger, thirst, birth, death, pleasure, pain. So these are all the feelings or emotions that we go through. We will have thirstiness, we will have hunger, we will have jara, we will have mrityu, disease, old age. We will have all of these qualities which are in common. But my dear Lord, you are not touched by any of this. You don't have any of these qualities. So he is saying, because you don't have any of these qualities and you are not affected by these qualities. So there won't be any change in Supreme Lord. We will have change. I am not the same as I am 10-year-old and 5-year-old when I was born. I will not be the same as after 20 years, isn't it? So there is change in us. So that will not be God will not have any kind of such changes. So he said, so you are called as Kutastha, which doesn't have any change. So first of all he said you are Vasudeva. Now he is saying you are Kutastha. That is the name given to the Lord, Kutastha. And then he said, at the end of Pralaya, when the Pralaya happens, you take everything that is here. In the Pralaya, what happens is everything that is in the maximized state. We're talking about Sukshma Sthiti and Sthula Sthiti. Sthula is like big state, expanded state. Everything expanding. At some point, it will all collapse because of Supreme Lord when the Pralaya happens. So he is saying, my dear Lord, you are called as Sankarshana because you take everything that is expanded in the Sthula state, put it back into you. So you are called as Sankarshana. What does Sankarshana means? Sam means to unify, to putting together. Karshana means to swallow. So you are called as Sankarshana. You unify everything, you put everything together and swallow. So you are called as Sankarshana. And then they said, my dear Lord, you are the one who stays with all of us, and who nourishes towards either in the path of devotion, getting moksha, or in the path of swarga or naraka regarding karma. So you are the one who is giving the energy or the direction of this by Vedas. So you are called as Aniruddha. You are called as Pradyumna for that reason. And then he says, you will not be bound by any of this karma. So you are the master of Indriyas. So you are called as Aniruddha. Now, if somebody comes to you first of all, you are not bound by any of the karma. Also, if somebody approach you, what will you do? You will give them the knowledge so that they will not be bound by their karma anymore. You will take off their karma also. So you are called as Paramahamsa. You see the way he is saying. Now he gave a wonderful name to Lord. He said, my dear Supreme Lord, you are inside of us as Antaryami, as Paramatma, everything. Also, you are outside of us. You are protecting all of us, being outside also. Either in the form of sun, ether, sound, anything, or planetary systems, atmosphere, pressure, whichever form you name it. You are outside also protecting us. So you are inside of us, making us to live. You are outside of us also, making us to live. So you are called as Purna. So if somebody says Purna, that is the reason Purna means in full, in completeness. So everywhere you are there, inside of us, outside of us. Now this we have discussed on a lot of occasions in Bhagavatam only. How God is called inside and outside. How he stays. So again, I'll touch upon the point very very quickly. In how do you say? In Sanskrit, it's very beautiful. In English, what we have is we will have apple. The plural is apples, isn't it? There is no second form. We have one or many. So anything greater than one is many, and that is a plural form in English. That's how in English is. But in Sanskrit, it's not like that. We have one, we have second person, and then we have many. The division is like that. One, two, and many. It's not one and many. One, two, and many. Now, in Sanskrit, Raha means humans or living beings. Anything which has life. Raha. Okay. Raha means second stage. Okay. So Nara, as you understand, Nara is a person or somebody who is having a life. Nara. Naraha means two forms, both, two people. Nara means many. Okay. So for all the living entities, what they are saying is Ayana. Ayana means to give support. Okay, for all the living entities, Nara plus Ayana, Narayana. So the word Narayana, it's a concept. It's not something we're saying, that is God. It's one of the concept in itself. It is God, how he performs. The name was given to that God as Narayana. So for that Narayana, we will be praising. We are saying, I am worshipping you. So when I say Jai Sriman Narayana, I am saying to that God who protects us. Not only us, every living entity that is existing in the universe, being inside as Antaryami and outside. So he is called as Narayana, who gives support. He is called Narayana. Now he is saying the same thing. That kind of man is Purna. He is full. He is inside and he is outside. He is Purna. And then he says, you are always enjoying in the companionship of the devotees. You are always in the mode of happiness and in the companionship of your devotees. So you are called as Suchishad. Suchishad. So you are called as Suchishad. Before that, so he started giving the names of Lord Srihari as, first of all, he said you are Vasudeva, and then he said you are Antaryami, and then he said you are Aniruddha, you are Pradyumna and Purna, and now finally he said you are Suchishad. And then he said you are the one who gives strength to Manas as Balam, or to Indriyas as Sahas, or to Indriyas as Balam, to Manas as Sahas, and to thought as Ojas. So there are three types of energy that we need. One is to the thoughts, one is to the heart, one is to the body. What we say to the body is called Balam, but there is Mano Balam and Indriya Balam. There are three different kinds of strengths if we categorize. So Ojas, Sahas and Balam. So all these three, Lord Shiva is saying, you are the one who is the giver of all these three. And then he went on saying, my dear Lord, this entire Prakriti is manifested in the form of sound, in the form of ether, or in the form of whatever you say, Mahatattva to Avyakta, so Avyakta to Mahatattva, again expanding into all three kinds of modes of nature, everything. My dear Supreme Lord, it is you. And then he says, those who worship the Pitru Devatas or other Devatas for any kinds of benefits or any kinds of boons, my dear Supreme Lord, you are the one who give the boons to them. It's not these Devatas or Pitru Devatas who is giving. They only don't have. How can they give anything to you? So you are the one who is granting all the kinds of boons that they are giving to the other people who are asking for it. So you are the one who bestows the fruits, not anybody else. And then he said, you are Kapila Maharshi. You are the one who gave the Sankhya philosophy. When you came here as Kapila Maharshi, you came as Rama, you came as Krishna, you will come as anybody if you want. That is the power of Supreme Lord. So he's saying, you are omnipotent, you are omnipresent, you are master of senses, you are great than anything else. So he classified everything, and then he started saying, coming to the level of devotion. He said, my dear Lord, I would like to see you, and he started explaining about how to visualize God, like exactly what Kapila Maharshi said. He also said the same thing. Shiva also said the same thing. How to visualize God, right from the feet, and then his clothes, ornaments. The ornaments are like golden robes. How is the golden color to imagine? He said, the lotus flower puppodi. I don't know what puppodi in English means. So the where we have honeybees go and collect it. So that golden color, the powder in the flower, is the color of the robes of Supreme Lord. So that is the robes of Supreme Lord. And then the four arms, and then Kirita, and then his energetic shoulders, and his biggest wide chest, and a navel from where the lotus flower came for all the living entities to live and survive. So that is how the Rudra visualized Supreme Lord. And then he said, my dear Lord, whoever comes to you with devotion, you are the one who give them the Parama Bhakti. If you remember yesterday or the day before yesterday, we are talking the session we are talking about Parabhakti, Paragnana, Parama Bhakti. So he is saying you will be giving the Parama Bhakti to the people who comes to you, asking uh, about you having love towards you, and then he made a very wonderful statement. Shiva said, this is what Shiva has said. He said, if we spend at least half minute with those who have love towards you, my dear Supreme Lord, that is more than the joy is more than going to Swargaloka and living there for eternity, or getting from the birth and death cycle. So association of devotees for Lord Shiva is greater than the joy that one gets by living in Swargaloka or getting out of birth and death life cycle. So, and then he said, what do we talk about anything else in comparison to that? Those two are the supreme. One is to get rid of birth and death life cycle. No, not moksha. Get rid of birth and death life cycle. And the second one is Swargaloka. So, for Shiva, these two are nothing. And anything else is also nothing when compared to spending half a minute with the devotees of Supreme Lord. And then he said how he is maintaining the prakriti, how the prakriti which is within him, not within him, with him, came out of him. He made him to come out of that, and he entered into that, and how it expanded, and how it is being maintained, and then how it is going to be annihilated. So he explained about the process of that, and then he said, you are the one who is taking the life cycle of prakriti, even though you don't need to do that. You are doing for that for us. And then he said, and then he said very good thing. He said, anyone who is intelligent enough will never leave your lotus feet. Who is not coming to you and who is engrossed in the material comforts, who don't know about you, they are anyway bound by their karma. They will go according to their karma. But anyone who is intelligent enough will never ever leave your feet, including me, he said. And then for those who are fear of who doesn't have any understanding of Supreme Lord, who are just living for the sake of living, for those, they will meet Rudra in the Pralaya. They will be fearful of meeting Rudra at the time of Pralaya. Now, when you say when that means that Pralaya, don't think the Pralaya means somewhere at the end of the creation or end of the Kala. What he meant there was Rudra in the form of death will come at the time of the body, when the soul has to leave the body. They will be fearful of death. But what he said, and after that he said, but for those who will have love towards you, this will not be the death will not be fearful to them. They will not be fearful of death at all. So Prabhupada is one of the acharyas of ISKCON. He says, for a non-devotee, Krishna will come in the form of death. So he said, they will meet, Krishna will come in the form of death. But for a devotee, death will come in the form of Krishna. So sorry, the other way around. My mistake. The other way around. So that for a non-devotee, Krishna will come in the form of death. So they will meet Krishna. But for others, they will meet death. Because Krishna will come in the form of death. So they will meet death, not Krishna. But whereas a devotee will meet Krishna at the end of death. I mean, at the death. So that is the challenge. People. Our Sanatana Dharma is the only thing that sees beyond this realm of birth, where we say, I am living my life. This is my life. I am living very happily. Life is only once. Live that life. These are all Facebook statements and WhatsApp statements. Don't have any understanding of what's beyond or after death. We devotees, we know because of Bhagavatam, Vedas and everything. This will happen. Now you might say, who has seen it? We don't know. People will ask. There are plenty of examples which are recorded on TV also, where a person after death will come back again and tell to the other people of that village that I was killed by this person. Have you seen these documentaries? There are so many documentaries, hundreds of documentaries which are even recorded by Gandhiji also. Somebody came to Gandhiji and said about this, and he inquired and he put somebody in charge and got that recorded. You can see it in Google later on. A person who left the body because somebody killed him, born again as a woman, she came and testified for that person that he killed, and the dead body is there. So many examples of rebirth. So how is that happening? Because the soul is migrating. The soul is transmigrating from body to body. And the soul remembers everything. Body does not remember. The soul remembers. So many examples. You can see the documentaries if you want. After the session, you can spend the whole night with the documentaries. There are so many examples like that. That in fact happened. So likewise, what we are saying is, Krishna, what do you want to meet at the end? Varaha, where he says, oh, my dear devotee, maybe my dear Sai or my dear Jay Ganesh, my dear respective wives, you heard Bhagavatam, then you recited my prayers of Varaha Charmasloka. Now I remembered. You don't remember me. You after that you didn't remember me, but I remember you because you said at that time. So I am coming here to take you back to my kingdom. Do you want to see that happen, or do you want to wait for Yamaduta standing by that until for the soul to leave the body and take us and go to Narakaloka and do all kind of these things? What do you say? The punishments to us. Devotee will never want to go there. But because we are not fearful of that, we are not fearing of that Narakaloka. What we are fearing of is to get the birth and death again and again and again and again and again. That will pass. Today they will burn you, or let's say not you. They will let the person to stick to a wall and they beat them. That will pass. Again you will get a new body. You have to go through many things. Who knows? So many things can happen. Let's say, human form of life is not that easy. Let's say we all got human form of life again. Let's say, assume the person got human form of life again. What is the guarantee that they will know about God? What is the guarantee that they will have eyes, legs, hands, everything functional? What is the guarantee that they will live for 10 years, or 100 years, 50, 70 years? What is the guarantee that they will not be met by an accident? Who knows? This life, at this point, at this given time, we know. We have the opportunity. And we are making use of the opportunity. We are talking about Lord Sri Hari. We are talking about Bhagavatam. That is important for us. Can you guarantee that you will not get a next life again? No. Become a devotee of Supreme Lord. He will take care. Like I said, if the spectacles are fallen down, it's not the responsibility of spectacles. It's the responsibility of the owner to clean the spectacles. We should be like up to the property of the Lord. He will take care of us. If I am the maid servant of the house, to clean the house, I won't put my money. It's the owner who says, go buy this and clean the house, maintain the house. So likewise, if I am the person who is living in this body and I'm the property of Supreme Lord, he will say, go get there, I will give the money, you go and maintain the body. He will give. We don't have to worry. Okay? Just saying, telling you how it really happens. We don't have to worry at all. Only thing we have to do is, my dear Supreme Lord, I am your property. Wholeheartedly say that. Not like today I am your property, tomorrow I am not your property. Not like that. Wholeheartedly, with full satisfaction and with full consciousness, say that to Supreme Lord. I am your property. I am your servant. Take care of me. Who else can take care of you? Nobody can take care of you except Supreme Lord. And then So the Prachetas, so after saying all this stotra, Lord Shiva said, this stotra you have to recite daily. If anyone who recite this stotra, the Rudra Gita in Bhagavatam, they are definitely attained to become a devotee of Supreme Lord. And that is a boon given to us by Lord Shiva, that you will become a devotee Supreme Lord if you recite this daily basis. And it is guaranteed, if you hear, if you listen, you will definitely become devotee Supreme Lord. That's the boon given by Lord Shiva to everybody. So he said to all the Prachetas, 10 of them, you recite this daily and you will achieve what you wanted to achieve. So you will be attending Supreme Lord if you recite this this Rudra Gita. The Rudra Gita is not just by Rudra, it is given by Lord Brahma. See, that is the fortune that we are having in our hands, that we are able to record, and even now in this state of Kali Yuga, that we are able to see what Brahma and Shiva has spoken hundreds and thousands and millions of years ago. Nicely given to us. Let's do that. Let's recite it. Let's not be a blocker for this parampara to flow. Let us be like a canal, another building block, where the water or this mercy of all the acharyas flow through us to the next generation. Don't let us be like a locker or a blocker. It shouldn't stop with us. It should flow to the next generations. How do somebody want to attain moksham? We'll know if we don't pass it on the knowledge to them. If we ourselves don't know what's in Bhagavatam, how can I tell to my daughter or my son tomorrow when they become elder? I will give them money. I will give them everything that they want. Is that enough for their well-being? For bodily well-being, money is important. Nobody can deny it. Without money, no well-being of the body. That is guaranteed in this loka. We have to be practical. Without money, can you be happy? There are chances, but can I really be happy now without money? No. That's not practical. So money has to flow through. But the well-being of the soul is important for us as a devotee. Not just the body. Body can be nourished, body can be maintained. But soul, nobody can do it. Even if I am on the bed, somebody will put a saline to me and they will make the body to survive. I am already on the bed with my soul, with me, myself. So who is going to help me except this book, Bhagavatam? So what will happen to my son, his son, other son? This is what happens in our Sanatana Dharma. Then what we have to give to the next generation is not money. We have to worry about the next generation. We have to worry about the other generation also. My son, my grandson, my great grandson, my great grandson also have to worry about. Not worry about money. We have to worry about their well-being, the soul that they are going to come. Whoever may come. I don't know who is going to come. Let it be whoever may come, but they have to know the knowledge. So we have to be strong in our faith. At this point, it is very much needed that we have to be strong in our faith and we stand as a person who can be a beacon to our family. Not to the entire world, we cannot. That is to the acharyas. They are doing the job. That's how we got enlightened. When we took the fire of enlightenment, we have to be like giving to everybody else. In our family at least, not to everybody else, at least in our family. I follow, my wife will follow, my kids will follow. Then they will know the path. Then they can give to the other people, to their family, like that. So this after Shiva explained all of these Prachetas did some service to Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva disappeared from the place. So these Prachetas went into the ocean for 10,000 years. They meditated upon the stotra and performed the tapasya. Now their father Prachina Barhi, he is super entangled into performing all kind of yajna and karmic activity. He is like interested in performing yajnas, yagas and all kind of things. So Narada Maharshi came and asked Prachina Barhi, my dear Prachina Barhi, what are you doing? You are so much attached to yajnas, you are performing so much of karmic activity. What will happen? You will be attaining a lot of punya by doing all this karmic activity. So what do you think? Why are you trying to do this all kind of karmic activity? Do you think you'll get pleasure? Then Prachina Maharshi said, and Narada Maharshi said, No, you won't get any pleasure because of performing any kind of karmic activity. What you get is temporary. The Purusharthas, what you are trying to get, is only temporary, because once the body, you leave the body, then everything else is gone. The punya will be attached to you. You'll have something in the Sargaloka or some other loka, then you'll fall down again. And then he said, he enlightened him. He said, don't do that. So Prachin Bhari said, he realized, and he said to Narada Maharshi, Narada Maharshi, you're right. I was super entangled into this material thing, always worrying about performing so much of karma in terms of yajnas and yagas, which are necessary to perform, but I overdid the performing. You overperformed in your job, so don't do that. Just to do what is necessary as a king. But you did over. So he agreed that I did over more than necessary. So now please tell me, how could I get rid of this thing? How can I work in such a way that I will never get bondage? Narada Maharshi, out of mercy, he said, you don't know the means to achieve the Purusharthas. What you're trying to do is to achieve the Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama. But you don't know the right means of achieving all the Purusharthas without getting bondage. So he said, so I will tell you the pastimes of the one of the greatest personality, whose name is Puranjana. A very, 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 very old pastime, a person called Puranjana. I will tell you about the pastimes of Puranjana. That will enlighten you in the understanding of Tattva, Hita and Purushartha. What is Tattva? What is Hita? What is Purushartha? This you will get an understanding if I explain you that Puranjana story. So from next session we will see Puranjana's Upakhyanam. Upakhyanam means pastimes of Puranjana. So Narada Maharshi stopped there. Puranjana Upakhyanam will start from the next. It's a new chapter. We'll start from the next session. Now I will ask you one question which I said you earlier also. Unmute your mics and I will ask you the question. Okay? You tell the answer. We have been listening to Bhagavatam. Correct? According to you, not according to you. Not according to you, sorry. Wrong way of framing the question. Who is God? Mataji, tell Mataji, who do you think is God? Tell the truth. What you feel, you tell it. We have been listening to Bhagavatam, isn't it? No, tell it. Who is God, Mataji?
Me, Prabhuji? Now I have some sort of understanding that the form which I worshipped earlier, like not earlier, now too, like Vinayagar, Kumaraswamy, Shiva, everything as devatas and not the original form of God. Now I have that understanding now.
Good. Very good, Mataji.
To that extent, I have knowledge now, Prabhuji.
Mataji, so you are convinced?
But realize till now I couldn't understand the fullest super soul, Prabhuji. I didn't achieve to. I personally believe that I didn't understand to that level. That I didn't still understand super soul.
No, that's okay.
We understand or feel the presence. Correct, like that.
Correct.
Okay.
But at least
to this knowledge, I have the understanding now to this level. Yes. That these are devatas.
Yeah. So there are the administrative staff. Do you have the conviction in that at least?
Yes. Yes. To that level, I have understanding now.
I will tell you the answer, Mataji. Shortly, I will tell you the answer, and I have been telling the answer. So Sai, for you and Alekia, who is God?
Prabhuji, Lord Narayana is the God, Prabhuji.
Super. So do you have full faith and conviction?
Sorry, Prabhuji?
Did you get full faith and conviction?
Yeah.
Supreme Lord Narayana is God.
Yeah.
That is how we.
That is how
Sorry, I can reset. Can you mute your mic? Sorry. It's I couldn't hear. That is what we have to build our faith when you're listening to Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam should not give you blindly the faith that Supreme Lord is Narayana. It will give you the evidence, because Bhagavatam is something that we listened initially also. It is the outpouring of Vyasa after compiling all the Puranas and doing all kinds of divisions of Veda. He is not, if you remember, we talked about in the first sessions, where he said he is not happy after compiling everything, where Narada Maharshi come and said, you told everything to everybody, how should they attain something, but you never told about God and his pastimes. If somebody wants to achieve something, you said, you do this vrata in this Purana, you follow, you'll get this. But you never told to people clearly who is God and his devotees. So that is the reason he clarified clearly in Bhagavatam right from the beginning. He compiled stories. He put the pastimes of those people who are the devotees of Supreme Lord, and where they are saying, I am the Supreme, he is the Supreme Lord, he is the Supreme Lord. Never until this point of time you have seen anybody saying that they are Supreme Lord. Never. You'll not see that. Because that is not the truth. Brahma himself said, I will die at some point of time. I cannot only grant you. You remember Narada Maharshi was saying, you are behaving like that, but still you are behaving like this. What? How do I understand? If you remember that chapters where we have seen, Brahma said, you are right. Everybody is acting on my behalf, but I am also acting on somebody else's behalf, because I am meditating on a daily basis. That is the Supreme Lord Srihari. That is where the Bhagavatam started. Now Lord Shiva, where we see generally on daily basis, where they say Lord Shiva is great, Lord Vishnu is great. I myself was in the situation where I said Lord Vishnu is not great. I myself, 10 years ago, 15, I myself said, when my sister, my cousin sister, she got married to a Vaishnava family, and at that time I am a hardcore Shaivite, having Rudraksha and having these three and going to Shiva temple and all. At that time I told to my sister. Then she told me, these are Vaishnava family. They will put they will not eat onion, garlic and all. They will not say Shiva's name in their house. All the phobia that is created. I said, I will come to their house and I will shout Shiva, Shiva, Shiva 3 times in their house. I said, that kind of madness I have at that time. Now when I looking back to her, I spoke to her just 2 months ago, and she said, will you come to my house and say Shiva, Shiva, Shiva now also? She said. I said, you come to my house and say Shiva, Shiva, Shiva in my house first. No, because I am also a Vaishnava and she is also their fellow Vaishnava. So the thing is, when we don't have the knowledge, when we don't have the evidence of why, you will have blind faith, you have a wrong faith. But once we have the evidence, you see, now I know why Lord Shiva has said so, why Supreme Lord Narayana is supreme, why Lord Brahma said, I meditate upon Supreme Lord, why Vaikuntha is there, why is everybody from this planet want to go there. Once we know the clarity, not just from a book, from the people who said in that book, Lord Shiva testified it, Lord Brahma testified it, everybody is testifying it. What else we need? We have the clarity. So Bhagavatam has to build up the faith in us, in giving us the clarity of who is Supreme Lord. I am not saying Vishnu is Supreme Lord. Narayana is Supreme Lord. Vishnu is just an avatar of Supreme Lord. He just came and performing his duties. But God is Narayana. Narayana is God. And who lives in Vaikuntha? Vishnu is somebody who lives in this Vaikuntha. For performing the administration, Brahma is there, Shiva is there, and Vishnu is also there. They are just performing their job, maintaining this creation. Under Vishnu, there is Indra who works for him. Like that. It is not that when I say Vishnu is God, means not this Vishnu, I am not referring to this Vishnu. We are talking about Narayana, Supreme Lord Narayana. That is how we have to understand. That is the faith we have to build upon. I'll tell you one pastime of the Acharyas, then you will easily get it. Why I am saying all these things. Yes, Mataji.
I have a doubt, Prabhuji. Why mm, somebody will have the hard faith, very strong faith that they have to follow Narayana and everything. But still, coming and uttering the name of Shiva, do they feel that it is crime?
No, that that's what I'm saying. No, Mataji. Some people does do that. Vaishnavas don't say that. Vaishnavas never say that. They will not say, I will not say the name of Shiva. Mataji, if that is the case, why will my Acharya fund one of the restoration for the Shiva temples? At least 10 Shiva temples my Acharya funded to renovate those temples, old temples, not built by modern people, old temples, like at least 500 years ago temples. Those are not having any kind of proper care taken by devotees around. So he renovated the temples, paid for the Acharya, Archakas to come and stay in those temples. Why is he funding? If you don't want to say the name of Shiva. Bhagavatam said, Vaishnavanam Yada Sambhuhu. If you remember the last classes we were seeing, among the Vaishnavas, the best is Shiva. That's what the Bhagavatam says. Now, Bhagavatam, now here we have seen Rudra Gita, what he said, I am always meditating about Supreme Lord. I like to stay in the companionship of the devotees of Supreme Lord. He said, for half a minute, enough, he said. I'll send a sloka also. That's what he said. For half a minute. No, then why is that we feel bad or we feel something crime in saying Shiva's name? Do you know, Mataji, on Mahasivaratri, Vaishnavas fast. Then if that is the case, why will Vaishnavas say that saying the name of Shiva is wrong? When Shiva is seen as the highest Vaishnavite by Vaishnavas or the devotees, not just Vaishnavas, we should not be doing sectarian things. We are all devotees. So why will we say saying the name of Shiva? What's wrong in saying the name of Shiva? There is a certain kind of phobia or certain kind of nonsense that is in the society where they say, oh, these Vaishnavas will not say the name of Shiva. I am telling the name of Shiva, Mataji. How many times I told the name of Shiva? Hundreds of times I told the name of Shiva. I also tell to everybody in the session also, because of Lord Shiva, I feel that I became a devotee of Supreme Lord. I was a big hard fan of Lord Shiva. What I am now is basing on the past only, what I think, what I am doing now, that will be my future. If I want to become a software engineer, I am working towards that, become a software engineer. So I'll become a software engineer. So what I become software engineer after that, the past is that towards software engineer. So what I have become now is a Vaishnava. What has happened is, in the process of becoming a Vaishnava, how can everything changes in like a span of a second? That's because of Lord Shiva. He gave me promotion. Go there, and you are in a state where you can go and worship the Supreme Lord. I made your faith levels of faith and conviction of devotion stronger. Maybe he trained me like that. I don't know. I'm just saying. I worship Lord Shiva. Now I ended up as a Lord Vishnu's devotee. How? Because of him. Whatever happened is what I become. You will not do something else, isn't it? Like that. Nothing, Mataji. That is the wrong thing that went into society for some reason. I don't know. None of the acharyas will say that, and none of the devotees also will say that. There are certain few people who says that or does that. I have not even seen those people who say that. In Kartika month also, not in Kartika month, sorry, in Mahasivaratri, on Mahasivaratri day, people do fasting and they do jagrana, like they won't sleep because of for Sivaratri, Vaishnavas. And what are we talking about? Why not saying the name of Vaishnavas? It seems not like that. Maybe there are some fanatics who just wanted to follow like that. That's okay. Let them follow. But they won't say that I will not say the name of Lord Shiva like that. There may be some people I have never seen them like that, but they won't say that. If they have said that, okay, they might have said that. I don't know why, but my Acharya never said that. Neither Ramanuja said that. Like that.
So it means that saying the names of other devatas will not be wrong.
Why? They are just representatives of God. They are doing the job because God has put them to do the job. So just tell, will it be wrong if I say Agni? Will it be wrong if I say Rudra? Will it be wrong if I say Sankarshana? Why will it be wrong if I say Indra? They are all the same. They are all devatas, administrative staff. But in the administrative staff, Shiva is the top, Brahma is later, and then other devatas, because in their level of supremacy, if you think in that way.
So it means that if your goal is to attain moksha means do not praise individual devatas and get the benefits alone. Is that
You can show respect. You can show respect to other devatas. You can praise them also if you want, but not surrendering to them. You should not
Yes,
never
Prabhuji.
ever
Yeah.
surrender to them.
So it is like that. If my goal is to attain moksha means if you surrender to some other devata, you will not attain moksha. You will be again within the life and birth and death.
Correct.
So yes, now I understand very well.
Good, very good. That is the level of conviction that we have to come. Already we are in third canto of Bhagavatam. 3 cantos finished. Fourth canto is almost coming to an end because of Puranjana Upakyanam. We are in almost closing fourth canto. Now we should have the faith and conviction built up that Supreme Lord is Narayana. If somebody asks who is God, then we should be able to say who is God. I will tell you one pastime in the Acharya's life. What has happened? This really happened. So there is this Acharya called Parasara Bhattar. So Parasara Bhattar is super intelligent and also very knowledgeable. He is the immediate, after Ramanujacharya, there is one more Acharya, and after other Acharya, Parasara Bhattar is the next guru in the parampara of gurus. So Parasara Bhattar, he is a very eloquent speaker, very knowledgeable person. So he started giving a session. So everybody across the other towns and villages, they said, oh, Parasara Bhattar is giving a session, the Upanyasam, the lecture series, so we should attend. So for that, great scholars came. Lot of great scholars came. And devotees also came. Usually they will come. So they came. So it's a 9-day series. He a 7-day series he gave. So every day after session finishes, he goes to one devotee and he says offers obeisances and respects, and then he will leave. But for other great personalities, like scholars and others, he never bothered about them. Now, Parasara Bhattar is a very great personality, so he'll have some other paricharkas like disciples. So they came to Parasara Bhattar and they said, Acharya, I know, we know, we cannot say to you, but there are some other great personalities who are like very good with knowledge, like scholarship, like professors on this subject, on that subject. You are not showing any respect to them, but we don't know who that person is. That one old person, you are going to him and always showing respect towards him, and then you are leaving. I think you have to take care of these people also. So they gave suggestion to their guru. So does Parasara doesn't know about this? He knows. So what he did, I said, okay, fine, we will do that. I will show respect towards them. Next day, last day. So among the great scholars, there is one Vidwan, the greatest scholar at that time. So he was sitting there. So he went to that scholar. He offered the respects and he gave that the shalva, the thing that they cover them. So that kind of sanmana he did to them. He did to him, and he said, my dear sir, I have 3 questions. I need some clarification on this. So can you please tell this 3 questions? Clarify this. So what are the 3 questions? What is Tattva? This what Narada Maharshi has said to Prachina Barhi, that he is going to talk about Puranjana, which will give clarity on Tattva, Hita and Purushartha. These are the 3 things that Parasara Bhattar asked that great man, the great scholar, which the Sishyas has said as great. So what is Tattva? So first of all, let's understand the meaning of Tattva. Tattva means truth, eternal truth, which will not change. So what is tattva as per your understanding? What did the Vedas say? So this guy said tattva. Advaita says tattva is only one. Visishtadvaita says tattvas are three. Dvaitam says tattvas are two. Sankhya says tattvas are three. That says tattvas are these many. Accordingly, there are 26 tattvas, Bhagavatam. So there is no correct clarity on telling what is tattva. I cannot say this. There are so many schools of thoughts. We cannot come to a conclusion. What is tattva? He says, okay, fine. What is hita? So what is hitam? Hitam means a means. See, if I say you have to go to Morrison's, what is the means you go to Morrison's? By road, by car, by walk. So that is the means you take. So what is the means you take from destination to that destination? So according to Vedas and Shastra, what is the means to achieve highest goal of life? Okay. This is also a bit confusion. There are many means. There is one says Saranagati, one says Bhakti, one says Kaivalya, one says Ashtanga Yoga, one says Dhyanam. So there is no definitive answer for this also. So that's what the scholars have said. Okay, fine, leave it. Then he said, what is the Purushartha? Whom should I worship? What should I worship? How should I worship? What is the means? After worshipping that person or this or that thing, what will I achieve? That is the question. Tattva, what is to be worshipped? Hita, what is the means to worship? Purushartha, what will I get after worshipping? That is a series. So for Purushartha, he said, there are so many again, we cannot quantify or tell you in one sense. Some say it is Narayana, some say it is Shiva, some say it is Kaivalyam, someone says Brahmajyoti, some says it is Brahmagnana, some say it is Sunya. So there is nothing quantifiable that I can say you this. So Parasar Bhatta said, thank you so much. You did a wonderful job. You can leave. So he left. Now, this is all being looked at by Sishyas also. Sishyas are watching this conversation. So Parasar Bhatta came to this old devotee. To the devotee, he again offered his respects. That devotee also showed his respects. Then he said, Devara means a respectable person. I wanted to ask you 3 questions. He says, how can I tell you these 3 questions? He said, no, please clarify these 3 questions. He said, what is this? What is the questions? He says, what is tattva? What is hita? What is purushartha? That devotee sitting there, he started banging his head like this. Then he said, I thought in Parasar Bhattar Sabha, this is a basic understanding that one should have, and then what one will have this understanding, and the speaker himself don't have this understanding. I am feeling sad about it. That old person said, Tattva is Narayana. The means is Narayana only. We are taking the help of Narayana in the form of the Market Kishora and Marjal Kishora, the baby of a kitten, the baby of a monkey. We are taking the help of Narayana to cross over the samsara as a boat and reach what? Narayana only. So it is Narayana to start, Narayana to go by, Narayana to end. This is the conviction. And then he stood and he walked away. Now Parasar Bhatta turned to his disciples, and he said, did you now understand why I worshipped him, why I respected him, not them? Then they got corrected. So this is what you have to understand. We have to have the strong faith. What will happen if you get knowledge? What is the point of use? Get confusion. The faith, after learning something, when we know that this is an authentic source, have the faith in it. That is the faith one should possess. If I ask you, do you remember the day before yesterday or the other day, I was giving you one example where Ramakrishna Paramahamsa asked his disciples, told his disciples, this is river Ganges. It will take off all the papa if you take a dip in it. So take a dip in it. They took a dip in it. Now he came out. Somebody was saying at the end of the street that if there is nobody who is having no papa, I am trying to do an yajna. Nobody came forward. That is the level of faith we are having. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, but you guys have just took a dip in the Ganges. Then why can't you go there? Because you don't have any more papa. The point of taking a dip is because after I told you that if you take a dip in Ganges, all your papa will go away. You take a dip, you came out. Somebody is asking you to go there and do some yajna because you don't have any papa. Then why can't you go? That is faith. What they did was just an activity, not having faith in it. What reading Bhagavatam should give us is faith. Knowledge can be given by anybody. Once if you read Bhagavad Gita, 700 slokas only, how much time will it take? Not recitation. If you want to read it, hardly a week. Okay. If you want to read one chapter a day, 18 days. No, half chapter a day, 30 days. 1.5 months, you will finish Bhagavad Gita. In and out. Reading sloka, everything, chapter, summary of it, everything. It's only 700 slokas. Recitation will take you 1.5 hours. If you want to read enter Bhagavad Gita, it will take you 45 to 50 days. Maximum. That is maximum. Understanding will take lifetime. That's a different thing. Reading, I'm just telling you, reading Bhagavad Gita. 45 to 50 days. Okay. Now, that also give you knowledge. It will also tell you that is Narayana Supreme Lord. But the faith and the conviction, that can only be given when you read or Bhagavatam. So we have to have the conviction and faith. Don't need to quarrel with people. If somebody tomorrow comes and says Satya Sai Baba is Supreme God, or somebody is Supreme God, somebody is Supreme God, just to leave. Feel pity about them. When will your life? You are wasting your life. How do you know they are wasting your life? Because you know the source of Bhagavatam is there. Because the Vedas, the purest form of Vedas, the summary of Vedas is Bhagavatam. Everything is there in Bhagavatam. What we are reading now is in the Veda also. Like a cricket message. There is a devotee speaker called Kandade Ramanujacharya. Very eloquent speaker. He is almost 80 plus. He will decode. He is super scholar also. So I listened to his Bhagavatam once. He decoded every verse whenever he speaks something. On that basis, whenever he finds a verse, he touches that point to the sutra in the Veda, the sloka in the Veda, how this marries to this sloka, how the encrypted message is given to this sloka. That's how he said. Because everybody will read Bhagavatam, no? So if anybody can read Bhagavatam. So they have to understand Veda. So Vyasa decoded everything what's in Veda into Bhagavatam. So he starts saying this sloka is there, this sloka is there. When we read the sloka in Bhagavatam, he says this thing is given in this sloka in Veda, in this chapter, in this verse. So that kind of connection he made for each and everything. So we have the source of knowledge, we have the authenticity of knowledge, which says this is Bhagavatam, this is Supreme Lord, this is God. Who else has to say? Brahma already said, now Shiva already said, 4 Kumars already said. Now you will see Indra also saying later on. Who else need to say? We have to have the faith and conviction. So we have to build our faith. That's what the whole point of reading Bhagavatam. Build our faith. Become strong in our conviction and in our faith. Supreme Lord Narayana is God. If somebody says who is God, don't get confused like the scholar. We know who is God. Who is the God? Narayana. No doubt in that. That's the faith and conviction level we have to become. Bring yourself up. You will see it. Now we only have Dhruva. See, Dhruva worshipped, he want to see God. Who came? Vasudeva, Srihari, Narayana only came. You will see the same happening in Gajendra Moksham also. He will see God come. He won't say the name also. He will just say, my dear God, come. Now we will see who came. You will see Prahlad case also. He says, Narayana come. Let's see who will come. And you'll see Krishna's case also. When Krishna was born, before Krishna was born, when he was born, he said, I am God. Now, how is the form of God? With 4 hands and everything. Now, that doesn't mean that we are quantifying God with 4 hands. What I want to say is that Narayana is coming. That Narayana we have to worship. Not just Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. Beyond that is Prakriti, Durga. Beyond that is Srihari, Supreme Lord, Narayana. See, from Narayana only, Avyaktam to Mahatattva, from Mahatattva to 3 modes of nature, from 3 modes of nature only, Brahma will come, Shiva, Vishnu will come. They have to have a form. body. That body can be manifested from what? From Prakriti only. Who is the mother of Prakriti? Who is the mother nature? Durga. From whom Durga manifested? From Sri Hari, Narayana. That is the source. So if you see, they are saying Mother Durga is on top of all these three, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. Of course, yes, we have seen, in the chart in the chart that I shared with you, how Avyaktam has become Mahatattva, from Mahatattva, three modes of nature, from three modes of nature, everything manifested. The Devatas manifested, the Indriyas manifested, the Panchabhutas manifested. That is the path. Yes, Durga Devi will be on top because she is Prakriti. What's wrong? But for understanding should be correct. If we want to worship the Supreme Person is, we will be here. There is a story. There is a person in the kingdom. He is just a normal person. He said to his master, I wanted to serve the Supreme Person, the most powerful person. He said, I am just an employer who is employing you. My employer is the best in this village. So he went to his village, the village head, that village, the owner. He said, I heard that you are the powerful person. I want to worship you. I want to serve you. He said, I am okay, but there is the village head who is more powerful than me. So he went to village head. The village head said, I am only not powerful to this village only, but there is somebody who is more powerful than me, who is the Tahsildar, who is like a town, in the town. You go serve him. So likewise, he went to the king, finally. And the king said, no, I am only powerful to this kingdom, but there is emperor. Go and serve the emperor. He went to emperor, and the emperor said, you are right, I am the most powerful, but I will also die. And then he asked, who is the most powerful then? Then he said, Sri Hari is the most powerful. So serve him. So and then he started serving Sri Hari. It's a pastime, one of the pastimes that we'll see later on, not now. I'm still telling you how it happened. So please build up that faith and conviction. Okay? I hope this makes sense. Don't need to quarrel with anybody, don't need to disrespect anybody, don't need to disqualify anybody, don't need to discount anything. You have to have the strong faith and conviction basing upon what the Acharya Parampara has to tell you. You have to understand that. Anybody, if I tell you I am an Acharya, will you believe me? Will you become a disciple of me? I am also telling you good only, no? I am also telling you Bhagavatam only, no? I won't be qualified. How much good I tell you, I won't be qualified. The qualification comes because of me being somebody being in the parampara. There has to be his Acharya. His Acharya should have his Acharya. Like that, he has to go back all the way to God. If that is the case, if that is the chain of parampara, if somebody comes in that parampara, then they are gurus, then they are acharyas. Only in that line, in lineage, you have to go, approach, serve, inquire, get initiated, and then lead your life. Then what will happen? You will be in the chain of parampara. The knowledge that comes is pure, unadulterated. Like that. So I think, I'm hoping that you got the gist of everything, gain more clarity. So this is what you have to build upon. Now I was very happy after listening to Lord Shiva also. I'm hoping that you are also happy after listening to what Lord Shiva has said in the form of Rudra Gita. So this is something that you can recite on a daily basis. If you want, I'll send the chapter number and in Bhagavatam where you can recite those slokas of Rudra, where he recited, praised Lord Sri Hari. You can read for yourself the whole purport and commentary if you want to. So, any questions? This is the end of session. Any questions from anybody? Mataji, any questions? Sai?
No questions.
Prabhuji, one general question, Prabhuji.
Sure,
What is the significance of number 3, Prabhuji? Because in our traditions, we mostly see, like if they say, after some sessions, they say, Om Shanti, 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 like they say 3 times.
Yeah.
And many of our activities, like whatever we do, we commonly see this number 3 everywhere, most of the places. So, why is it only number 3 and what is the significance of that?
Good observation. Very good observation. So, like that, there is a number 4 also, and there is number 7 also, where we can relate the 4 Vedas, the 4 Rutus, and if you say number 2, there they'll say two Ayanas, two Parardas. So, everything we can relate. So, coming to your question of why number 3, in terms of saying why 3 times, if say Santi, 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 or we recite Santi slokas also 3 times. Why that is 3 times is that in what is it called? I forgot the Shastra name. As per that Shastra, if somebody is saying something and if nobody disputes it, that for 3 times, that is formally accepted. So, for example, if there is a debate between Shankaracharya and somebody else, so the thing is that when Shankara debated somebody and that person lost, now Shankaracharya won over that person in the debate. So they will take the principle of what Shankaracharya has said and which was denied by the other person, and because they lost, so they take that principle. So let's say Advaitam as a Siddhanta was Shankaracharya. Now they say Advaitam is a Siddhanta in the group one time. Again they will say Advaita Siddhanta 2 times, and they will wait for some time. In that time somebody has to dispute and come for a debate again, or else it is now formalized that Advaita is the Siddhanta after third time. So they give the opportunity for 3 times. They give the opportunity to tell. So that is the number 3. So likewise, when you say Om Santi, Santi, Santi for 3 times, that's when we are formalizing the process. That is granted. It is granted that peace is given. Nothing should be disturbed or distracted. So they say 3 as the thing. Now that 3, this is significance why we say 3 times. That's the process is formalized. Now, but if you say Tirtham, they give 3 times. 3 times they'll give Tirtham. So the reason behind giving Tirtham 3 times is different. It's not for that. If you remember, last time we were talking about the tapas, the 3 kinds of tapas that a body will have: Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika. The difficulties that the body can have, where we have something that our body will have, that kind of difficulties, pain and all, something that we cannot control, like calamities and all, and something which will be done by devatas, like what do you say, heavy rainfall, or this coronavirus, this kind of things that we cannot do anything about it. For body pains and all, we can do something about it. So they are Adi Bhautika, Adhyatmika, Adi Daivika. So we cannot reach God. So not in the pursuit of knowledge, which means that we will be in great pain, that I'm not able to understand this, I'm not able to reach God, I can't visualize God. So that is certain kind of pains that coming either because of karma or because of your endeavor to reach God. So that is called Adhyatmika. So there are 3 different kinds of pains for a human. So to satisfy those 3 kinds of tapas, Adhyatmika tapa, Adi Bhautika tapa, Adi Daivika tapa, they give 3 types of water which are washed. That water has to be washing the feet of Supreme Lord, and then they will give 3 times Tirtham, which we take. So that is the reason why I give 3 times. So many references are there basing upon different context, like that. Did you understand, Sai?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Any other question?
No, Prabhuji. That's it.
On the other note, there is generally a feeling, certain kind of fear in the people that have been following certain tradition to give it up and accept the reality. They say, "Oh, I fear if Lord Shiva will come and shoot something bad to me. If I am doing some worship, let's say I'm worshipping Vinayaka, I fear Vinayaka will come and do something bad to me." You are not. This is not a business, no. That I am not doing this to please Vinayaka, and Vinayaka is not pleased. He'll come and do something to me. If I stop worshipping Vinayaka, Vinayaka will come and do something bad. He will not do certain kind of sadistic things. They are not like that. They'll feel more happy that you, who is following them, took a right path. So don't fear anything like that. Never feel anything bad about anything else. You are in the right path. You have to have the direction from an acharya. You have to have direction from the book, Veda or Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita or Mahabharata. Some kind of authentic book has to tell us this is the path to go. Okay. If the map is saying you this is the right path, and if somebody who came there said this is the right path, whom will you follow? The map or somebody else? Naturally, the map, isn't it? Like that. Now, devotees say very interesting thing. Let's say your path towards Lord Narayana is like traveling in a flight. Okay, so from London to Manchester, let's say. When you're coming to that path, 1 degree of variation, just 1 degree of variation, will make you to land in Leeds, isn't it? Just 1 degree of variation. You're traveling from London, only 1 degree. If you wanted to reach God following this, there should be no deviation. It should be on automatic mode. Sit and relax, it will take you there. No deviation, no influence, no turbulence. Just relax. It will take. Like that. So the reason I'm stressing upon this point, we have to build faith and conviction when we are reading Bhagavatam. It will help us. It will give us the clarity. It will give us more enlightenment as we go along. Like that. I hope this makes sense. And if nobody has any more questions, then we will meet again in the next session. But again, thank you so much for coming to the session today, even though it was supposed to be yesterday. So thank you for that. And I will do the prayers, Mangala prayers. Then we can all depart. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महिमहीषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः सोमस्त्रित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु. ओम अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः. Thank you.